At the March 22nd General Committee meeting at City Hall, City councillors approved a motion to provide $30,000 to the Downtown Business Improvement Area BIA for open-air Dunlop programming. Under the motion proposed by Ward 2 Councillor Craig Nixon, the money will come from Municipal Accommodation Tax Reserve. The open-air Dunlop program closes Dunlop Street to vehicular traffic, allowing only pedestrians to access the area in order to support local businesses. Ward 3 Councillor Anne-Marie Kungal expressed her support for the motion, stating that it aligns with the city's strategic plan to support the arts. Council initially supported the program during the COVID pandemic as a means of aiding local businesses. Ward 1 Councillor Claire Ripma stated that the BIA should target for $30,000 for the next year's program. However, he is open to funding it if it expands to every Saturday instead of the currently planned 10 Saturdays. At the meeting, the Council also approved an amendment to the yard maintenance bylaw, which states fines amount ranging from $100 to $1,000 depending on the severity of the offense. The fines will apply to offenses such as long grass and weeds, garbage and debris, inoperable vehicles, and any actions that endanger public or occupant safety. Offenders will have 13 days to comply with the violation before the city hires an approved contractor to carry out the prescribed work. The fines will come into effect once they have been approved by the Attorney General of Ontario.
The next item to be discussed is the 2023 patio programming, open air Dunlop business in the parks. Councillor Nixon, you held that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I would like to put it on the floor as printed and to add the following paragraph, that $30,000 be provided to the Downtown BIA in support of their written request dated March 13th, 2023 for funding assistance for the open air Dunlop programming, to be funded from the municipal accommodation tax, which is MAT reserve.
Thank you, Councillor Nixon. So just to confirm, that's the item is on the floor as printed, but with the alternative added in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Councillor Nixon. Would you like to speak to the item?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other comments or questions, Councillor Morales?
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Is the BIA, and I think I just saw Councillor Hamilton, is the BIA going to come and present to council? And the reason I ask that is, you know, it's been a tough year for all service providers. And while they're a service provider that historically doesn't come and speak to council, but they did speak, what was it, Deputy Mayor Thompson, a year ago or two? Kelly McKenna definitely was here for, that was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, she came and did a full, wholesome presentation with a report. And I know in the past, they've, essentially when we ask, they give us more information. So it's not to hold the money, but I know we got comments that council was firm but fair to some other service providers. So I think if they're asking for an extra amount of money, that all members of council, especially since there's 5 new members of council, have the ability to review the budget and to ask operating questions, so we can either gain an appreciation for the value that Open Air Dunlop is doing, and also see where we can provide assistance. So I guess the question is the BIA going to come? And if not, what would council need to do to have them do a similar budget and operations presentation as to the one that Kelly McKenna did in 2021?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Morales. So if at any point we can have an item for discussion to invite the BIA to come and make a presentation at City Council. So if you'd like that done, we can have that organized and presentation invitation provided out to them upon approval.
Okay, and those can go to council since it's just a presentation invitation as per the previous ones that we've expedited, right? Okay.
Correct, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hamilton.
That's okay. Councillor Morales just asked my exact question. I am supportive of the amendment or the alternative as printed, but yes, as being a new councillor and not being totally familiar with the BIA and their budget, I think it'd be very, very helpful to have them come and present. So thanks, Morales, for raising that.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. Through yourself, or to, I guess, CAO Prowse, maybe if you can pass it on to the right member staff. The BIA budget, is it something that's funded by the city, or is it funded through a special levy on on downtown businesses and building owners.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. The BIA budget is funded through a BIA levy, which is effectively collected by the city through property taxes on businesses and properties within the BIA, and is turned over to the BIA for their management.
Besides the request for $30,000 this evening, is there any other requests that the city provides funding to the BIA on? And I don't know the answer to this, and maybe we don't have the answer tonight.
Mayor Nuttall, I would turn to Ms. Schlichter, who may have the answer for that.
Through you, or to you, Mayor Nuttall, in terms of your question, there are on occasion ad hoc projects that we may undertake where we might support something, be it a project for Meridian. I don't have anything specific I can point to for 2023 at this point. I think much of what we do comes in the form of in-kind services, so operations support, and in those types of areas where we would see some of that coming forward. And certainly we can provide more detail on that coming forward.
Thank you so much. To both Councillor Morales' and Councillor Hamilton's point in terms of governance, I know that there's going to be some training provided by our team here at City Hall to help with some of the transition over at the BIA as they've just gone through their election process. So it's great to see. I know our finance department provides services as well to the BIA in terms of the management of the funds and accounts, which is also, I think, a very good thing. But in terms of real funding of the BIA, I don't see the city is the one who is providing the funding, although we do provide the opportunity for that funding to take place. So I guess the argument could definitely be made. In terms of the request of the $30,000, for me, I look at it and say, you know, our downtown, it has some great opportunity. And the open air Dunlop is one of those great opportunities. And the request by the BIA, there's going to be a request, there's a funding source opening up at the end of the month. They're going to be putting in a request to the provincial government for a bit of funding, some funding from us, and I think they got to fund some of it themselves. But the opportunities that exist, you know, we really do have to take advantage of. And so when I look at the amendment on the floor in terms of the MAT funding, if there was something for MAT to fund, and we do use it for things here and there, but if there's something for MAT to fund, this kind of fits to me, right? Like, you know, you tax the out-of-towners who are using our hotel rooms, and then you use some of those taxes to have something going on when they're here. It just kind of all makes sense. It's like a good use of the dollars. Am I going to be able to tell you, or is the BIA going to be able to tell you that there's X return on investment of that $30,000 at the end? I honestly don't know, but I hope that there is, and I hope that we continue to see more of this. Councillor Kungl.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Just I think on the framing of the conversation around budget, and if we're coming back to talking about that $30,000 maybe for the public watching, there was a really nice one-page item in the circulation list identifying the benefits of how that $30,000 was used last year. And I think it was great value for money when we talk about that, but in general, from a transparency piece, is a great resource to point to around, I believe they identified that the open air Dunlop days, a typical visitor spends about $40 per visit, and it represents $4 million in economic impact to local businesses and economy. It also went in to talk a bit about how the funds go to hiring and scheduling local artists, performers, and community groups. So it's lovely because it ties to some of our strategic plan around supporting the arts, and in extension of that, the funds support all the logistics and facilitation of road closures and security. So I'm comfortable with the $30,000. I think my main question was, this was one example that came up kind of after budget, as well as the Barrie Farmers Market and that $25,000. So while I want to just share that there was a bit of the rationale for what the $30,000 was used for, I guess through you, Mayor Nuttall, to staff, when we're seeing these revolving asks and the benefit of dollars, is there communication to agencies that we typically find come to us in year annually with an ask to build it into a communication where we say, if you know you're going to want this ongoing, should we be looking at it differently within our intake or within our budgeting? So it doesn't feel like we've gone through a budget practice and then we're starting to still approve in-year asks. So I didn't know, outside of this ask, which I'm supportive of, are there certain partners like this one where we would actually look at when we would want them to be identifying funding for the net new year?
CEO Prowse.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Through you to Councillor Kungle. Councillor Kungle, we certainly endeavour to work with our service partners so they have clarity around our budget timing and process. Unfortunately, our calendar doesn't always match their needs. And I would point out to Council that staff didn't recommend this $30,000. We did include it as an alternative, but I think our principle was in addressing post-COVID, the Council, this Council and the City provided a number of support mechanisms throughout the community during the COVID days. And some of them, we've taken the principle that it's probably time that we start to unwind and present them as one-offs, should Council choose to continue the program. I think this is a pretty good example of that, but we certainly communicate with our partners around the timing and expectations for requests of funding.
That's great. Thank you, CEO Prowse. Just didn't want us to kind of ever hesitate, depending on the timing of that and when we approve the budget, about when we would prefer to see those asks coming forward. So I'm definitely in support of it and looking forward to the season with more open-air Dunlops.
Thank you, Councillor Kungle. Are there any other? Councillor Rittman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in support as well. I think that we should advise the BIA that next year they should be budgeting the $30,000 for themselves out of their budget, because I think they need to take ownership of this program. And I'm glad to be a partner with them as we're getting this thing rolling. I think I'd also, I mean, they're giving us, they're going to close Dunlop Street for 10 Saturdays. It's been a roaring success. I would love to see them do it every Saturday. And frankly, you know, if they come back to us next year and say, we're going to close every Saturday, but we still need some money to support it, I'll vote for that too. But I do think that they should be looking at taking full responsibility for this next year.
Thank you, Councillor Rittman. Councillor Morales.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. To build on Councillor Rietman's comments, he inspired a question for Ms. Schlichter. I think I just pronounced your name correctly for the first time in 8 years. So, Ms. Schlichter, thank you for taking this question. If we build on that critical mass, Councillor Rietman is kind of alluding to that can continue, and I know the conversation was initiated last year about permanent road closures. Now, the cost of open-air Dunlop, there's many costs. There's programming, there's first aid, and there's other costs I don't even know about. But the big one is security. And even if we do have permanent road closures, there's still going to have to be a staffing level, but it's going to be greatly reduced. So, Ms. Schlichter, would this be a good opportunity, which is why I want them to come present so we can ask them these questions, to continue having these conversations, not with the goal of into 3 months, because that's not enough time, but with the goal of maybe finding a solution that is adequate with yourself and Chief Mainprize and the team that handles that safety aspect of it?
Through you, Mayor Nuttall, to Councillor Morales. In 2022, the BIA had pursued some federal funding to support. Their original concept was to support permanent road closures. We at the time had indicated that there needed to be some significant technical review, given the fact that we had just invested in a significant streetscape. There are fire, there are technical, aesthetic. There was several, which we outlined in a memo in June of last year. So I certainly think all of those things would require some significant technical review in order to understand what solutions could be brought forward. I do suspect that is expertise outside of all of us or outside of our current resourcing, so I think there would need to be some consideration to that, but we would have to take a look at that before I could provide further comment.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Schlichter. And Chief Mainprize, I know we chatted a couple of weeks ago and many things, and we landed on this. So this question is kind of redundant. I just want everybody to hear it. Barry Fire, yourself and or designate on this file would still be willing and able to have that conversation if the BIA continues to pursue it and arrive to that level where you guys are able to I guess, to essentially approve it from a safety perspective. Is that correct? Or has something changed since then?
Through Mayor Nuttall to Councillor Morales. Certainly Barry Fire is welcome to review the options of the gates that exist, participate in the technical review, and offer our opinion with respect to code compliance and fire code or fire lane access.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Morales. Are there any other questions or comments around the table? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And it's approved. So we've now approved the amendment, not the motion. We'll now call the main motion as amended. All those in favor? And it's approved. We'll now go to LCS 006-23. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'll put the motion on the floor as printed, and I won't speak to it.
Thank you. I asked the Deputy Mayor to hold this, and I've perhaps committed the cardinal sin on this, which is to hold something that should be approved and to highlight it as a very positive thing in the hopes that it sends a message, but also in the hope that there's no amendments to it that result from me holding it. Then Councillor Prowse would understand what I'm saying right now. I made this mistake a few times before. I just wanted to say to our team, thank you for bringing this forward. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas with regards to property standards, to keeping a clean, safe, and nice neighborhoods, nice properties around the city. And I think that there's been a lot of work done by different members around this table, and there continues to be on this subject. But this is something to me that looks very tangible, that puts a levy on those who are not going to keep their properties inside the standards that are outlined by the city, and puts quite a hefty fine if needed. And you know, the only item for me, and it's not attached to this report, but I was hoping, and I don't know if this is a question or a statement, but I was hoping that maybe there would be something similar for parking on lawns and those types of offenses, because quite frankly, they're offensive. But secondly, they really do run with the same spirit of what's being proposed and hopefully approved in terms of the yard maintenance bylaw. Is that something that we can look at in the future? I know it's not something to attach tonight, but is that something we can look at in the future?
Mayor Nuttall, I'm not quite sure who you're looking at, but I'll take a stab at this.
It was a wide glance.
Yes. Thank you for the question. Parking on the front lawn is a zoning bylaw matter at this particular point in time. So I will refer your question to Ms. Banfield, since the Development Services team is responsible for the zoning bylaw.
Thank you.
Mayor Nuttall, could I ask you to repeat the question?
Just with regards to parking on lawns and, you know, having the right enforcement at the right times, and also, you know, being able to levy the appropriate fines for those offenses.
Certainly, and thank you for your indulgence. So ultimately, the issue with parking on the front lawn tends to be seasonal. We tend to see it a lot more this time of year. And it is also a challenge because of, from an enforcement perspective, because we get a call, we go out, and then the car's not there, kind of thing. So it still does fall under the normal course of action in terms of enforcement, where if there is a car found there, you get a letter and a warning and those types of things. But it definitely continues to be a challenge in terms of property zoning enforcement goes to the property owner, not necessarily the car owner. And so there, as I said, and again, it's hard. They move cars, and so then it's gone, and so it definitely is challenging to enforce.
Is there anything that gives us the ability to ticket vehicles that are parked improperly on properties such as lawns?
Mayor Nuttall, between ourselves and enforcement, we have looked at this option because it has come up before. And I'm just kind of looking at Wendy, if you remember why we haven't necessarily pursued that.
Through Mayor Nuttall to members of council, I think we started looking at it prior to the pandemic, and then COVID hit, and that conversation kind of fell to the wayside, and then it seems now that parking on the lawn is more of a larger issue than before. So, and I know that we can, as enforcement and development services, we could probably work together to look at maybe looking at ticketable offenses for the parking on the lawn. Amazing.
I just broke all the rules by talking about something that wasn't on the agenda but is certainly attached. Councillor Harvey, would you like to do the same as me?
I'm going to promise you I don't have an amendment. Just to kind of expand a little bit on that, because I do agree that it would probably be far more efficient and quicker responses if it was dealt with by our bylaw people as a parking issue opposed to a property standards issue. I assume, this is where my question is, I assume we would then need a bylaw change to be able to have that change occur. Is that correct?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Harvey, to Ms. Banfield's point, some of the preliminary research that we had done prior to, because this is ultimately, albeit we may not like it, ultimately it is a property use issue. It's not a parking in the manner where you see it on the side of the road or in a parking lot. This is the misuse of a property, which is generally a zoning matter. So that preliminary research is sort of where it was before. So it's not as easy to just change a bylaw to necessarily say now we're going to issue a parking ticket, for example, on that property related to the actual use of the land. It's an improper use of that land. So that's where some of the continued research that we've already started up again, now that everyone's starting to recover from the pandemic and those workloads, we have started up that research. So I can't give you an exact answer, but it's not quite as easy as we would just amend our traffic bylaw and put in a parking offense because it falls under different issues.
Okay, great. Thanks. I won't belabor it and look forward to see the information that comes forward from staff in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Rietma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if you could see the list of emails that have flowed around that very subject about parking on the grass, we'd fill a couple of books. And I appreciate that staff are looking at it, and I would encourage them to continue to look at it until we find a solution. I realize that Ms. Banfield and her staff are as diligent as they can be about zoning infractions in terms of parking on lawns, but our current bylaw is pretty ineffective that way, and I think there should be a different solution found, and I agree with you that it should be something that we could write a ticket on. And I'm looking forward to seeing the staff report on that one. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, no matter what it is, the law in the city, if it's not enforced, it doesn't really mean anything. And so I do look forward. I think we have enough issues in the city where enforcement of either our laws or other types of items leave quite a liability for residents. This I think is a good step forward, and I trust that our public service will enforce it to the nth degree. And hope that I'm not one of the receiving people of this. With that, all those in favor? It's approved. I think I just broke the curse of holding the item. Next, we have announcements. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
I have none, thank you.
Any other announcements around the council? Councillor Kungl.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. I'm not sure if this is within yours, but I thought it's been coming up in stakeholder conversations, so I just want to take a moment to point to the Recreation and Sport Capital Improvement and Opportunity Grant. I know that was well utilized last year, so I'm glad to see it continue. I think out of the $300,000 last year, applicants spent about $280,000 plus towards sport and other activities. So I'm aware that while we had some great media releases around this, if we could share the news, the deadline is next Friday, the 31st. Hoping to see lots of applicants come in. And for those that are in the sport arena, please know that there are two different areas. One is around sport opportunities, but the other one is around capital. And I know that's become a big consideration coming out of COVID and other cost recovery, especially for those that are not seeing the fundraising dollars. So there is capital as a component of that, and hoping people will take advantage of that sport and rec grant.
Thank you, Councillor Kungl. Any other announcements? Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, just a quick shout out to Barrie Women's Hockey Association as they were successful in their submission. So we have Team Switzerland and Team Germany that will be coming to our city later this week and having an exhibition game at the Sadlin Arena. So congratulations to them, because we're finally successful at something at a much higher level, especially at the international level.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councillor Harvey and Councillor Kungl, for your work on that. And it was great to see the approval given and the two teams coming to town. Any other announcements around the table? Seeing none, I'll jump into mine. March 21st was proclaimed World Down Syndrome Day, and the month of March is being proclaimed as Awareness Month and Persian Heritage Month. Today, March 22nd, is being recognized around the world as World Water Day, bringing attention to global water issues. Billions of people don't have access to safe water or sanitation systems, including communities in Canada that experience long-term drinking water advisories. Barrie residents can help by being conscious of water use, taking shorter showers, and keeping our water clean and safe. For more information, visit barrie.ca/water conservation. The City of Barrie is hosting an online rain barrel sale until April 30th, 2023. Rain barrels can be purchased by residents online at enviroworld.ca/Barrie. For further information, please visit barrie.ca/water conservation or call 705-726-4242. The City of Barrie and the County of Simcoe will be hosting a commercial trucking job fair on March 29th at Allendale Rec Centre between 4:30 and 7:30 p.m. For more information and to register, please visit barrie.ca/trucking job fair. The city's annual I Love Barrie contest is still open for entries. Students from kindergarten to grade 12 can express why they love Barrie by sharing artwork, short story, or a photo. The contest deadline is March 31st at 4:30 p.m. For more information, please visit barrie.ca/lovebarrie. And more to Councillor Kungl's announcement, the City of Barrie invites eligible local organizations to apply for the 2023 Recreation and Sport Community Grant that provides funding to enhance access to recreation and sport opportunities in Barrie. The application deadline is the 31st of March, and grants will be awarded no later than April 21st. For more information, please visit barrie.ca/communitygrant. Tomorrow, March 23rd, the GoVax Bus Clinic will be located at the Georgian College Barrie campus, 1 Georgian Drive, between 10 and 5, offering the COVID-19 booster shots. Walk-ins are welcome or book by appointment at covid19.ontariohealth.ca or call 1-833-943-3900. The City of Barrie is looking for resident feedback about how you use Barrie's parks and outdoor recreation facilities and the role they play in your day-to-day life. Your thoughts will help inform the city's Parkland Needs Assessment Report. To complete the survey, please visit barrie.ca/parks. The deadline is Friday, March the 24th. This is a reminder that overnight on-street parking and waterfront parking restrictions are still in effect until March 31st. For more information, please visit barrie.ca barrie.ca/snow and barrie.ca/parking. The next Finance and Responsible Governance Committee meeting and General Committee meeting, City Council meetings, will be held on Wednesday, March 29th, 2023. The circulation list. Are there any items on the circulation list, members of Council? Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor Nuttall. From the circulation list, March 22nd, A2. Sorry, let me just pull this up. It's the memorandum from Ms. Banfield, Director of Development Services, dated March 22nd, regarding the growth report from the circulation list, to be referred to the Mayor's Priority and Planning Task Force to have the KPI performance indicators contained within the memorandum to be considered as KPIs for the advisory committees, and I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor Nuttall. I'll actually take your words. This report was phenomenal. It was very clear, and you could extract a lot of information to use as KPIs within the other committees. So I would just like to refer it back so we could kind of dissect it and use it for the other advisory committees. So that's why I'm referring it to the Mayor's task force.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Kungle?
I have a quick one just on topic. It probably won't be seen as a KPI, but on that, around the data information, the one piece that I'll look to staff to see if relevant or available is often the question around, tied to all these developments in the pipeline, what do they represent around tax base? So we often talk a bit about how much of our property taxes we're planning for having available, where are they in association to the queue? And while we can't predict timelines, that would be an interesting reflection to have a dollar amount tied to commercial, industrial, residential types of form.
Thank you, Councillor Kungle. And CEO Prowse, if you can just confirm that you've taken that comment back as well, because I think that you're doing some work on that, and that'll be coming forward at some point.
Absolutely, Mayor Nuttall. We'll take a look at that and see what's possible.
Thank you, and it was a great comment. One of the other items that's going to be coming through from the work from Chair Morales and the priority planning is some recommendations to the committees, and you'll be able to then, if there's things missing like this, filter them all back in to make sure they get in. So I think it'll be a good opportunity going forward. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's approved. And Councillor Nixon.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nuttall. Item A5230-322. The memorandum from Michelle Banfield, Director of Development Services, dated March 22, 2023, regarding the Downtown and Urban Growth Center application status, fourth quarter 2022. Update from the circulation list, dated March 22, 2023, be referred to the Affordability Committee for further consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Nixon, for putting that on the floor. Any questions or comments regarding the referral motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's approved. Are there any other items on the circulation list? Just one more time before we adjourn. Seeing none, then this completes the General Committee meeting for this evening, and we are adjourned at 8:51 p.m. on the 22nd March.
That was the update from March 22nd General Committee meeting. Check out our website, YouTube, and Instagram for more stories, such as the interview with Shanika Edwards of Shaq's World. Shaq's World began as a basketball program, now has flourished into a hub of inclusivity for people of all ages, genders, and backgrounds. It is located at 59 Maple Avenue in downtown Barrie.